All right, court is now back in session. You can resume your direct ADA, Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, also, I think I was asking you about a statement from the victim's mother.
Yes, ma'am.
What did she advise, if anything?
So Mrs. Joyner, she had told her son not to enter the room. Mrs. Joyner stated that Mr. McBride told the juvenile not to enter into the room. But when the juvenile did re-enter into the room, Mr. McBride reached for a large gun, loaded it, and pointed it directly at her children. At which time she told both of her children to go ahead and run, and they was fearing for their life. She stated that Mr. McBride went outside, stood on the porch, and pointed the firearm towards the children while they was fleeing.
So she saw him load the weapon and pointed at her sons?
Yes, ma'am.
And told them to run?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I believe you indicated Mr. McBride was not on the scene at the time that you all arrived?
Yes, ma'am. He was not on the scene at the time.
Did he ever make any statements to you or any other law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am. Once I detained him and put him in hand restraints, Mr. McBride just stated that days prior, the juveniles and the male adult was harassing him. At which time Mr. McBride stated that he paid rent there and he didn't want the kids inside their room due to the fact that's his mother house and he was renting a room from there. Then he alleged and called stated the kids was in the gang, affiliated with the gang, and antagonizing him.
Now, let me backtrack for a minute because I asked you if you had got any statements from him regarding this. You said initially you did not, but then did you at some point, were you able to get a statement from him as to what happened?
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
When he was in my back seat, he was just talking. So I just used that to put in my narrative because I didn't get a statement. He was just freely talking.
Okay, so how did he end up in your back seat? I believe you previously testified that he was not there when you got there. So how did he come to be taken into custody?
At some point, Mr. McBride returned back to the home. He snuck through the woods to go inside the home, at which time someone saw movement inside the house. That's when officers got consent for Mrs. Joyner to go inside the house to see what was inside the house, at which times the officer apprehended Mr. McBride inside the home.
Okay, so let's back up a minute. You arrived at the scene. Mr. McBride is gone. The juvenile son makes a statement to you as to what happened, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, after you took that statement from the juvenile, what did you do?
The auntie was on the way. The auntie was on the way. Sergeant Harper, she was on the phone with the auntie while she was on the way to the residence. She gave the account to what occurred inside the residence days prior. When she got there, she explained to us that she was on the phone with Miss Joyner, and she heard screaming in the background. She heard the kids saying, "Go ahead and run away."
Okay, so let me stop you for 1 second. When you're saying she, who is she?
She will be Mrs. I think her name Miss Jessica. If I'm not mistaken, Miss Stokely.
And she's the aunt of the juveniles?
Yes, ma'am.
How was she related to their mother?
Sister.
Okay, so she's telling you all about something that happened before this incident, correct?
Yeah, she told her what led up. Just say it happened on the 8th. So whatever happened on the 7th led up to this incident on the 8th.
Okay.
On the 8th.
So at what point in time does Mr. McBride end up back in the picture? Because at this point, he's not there, correct?
Yes, ma'am, he's not there.
Okay, so you talk to the aunt. She tells you all what she understood, what happened before.
Yes, ma'am.
When does Mr. McBride end up back in the picture?
When I observed Mr. McBride is when I saw officers bring him out of the house in hand restraints and escort him to my patrol car. So some way, somehow, he went through the woods, went through the back way, went through the side door and ended up inside the house. That's if I had to assume. Because he did not walk past us, and we was out there for a brief moment of time, along with 4 other officers.
So while you all were still there, he came out of the woods, or were you called back to the scene?
No, we were still on scene, ma'am.
Okay.
How he entered the residence, ma'am, that's unknown. But they saw movement inside the house. And once they saw movement, the Mrs. Joyner, she gave officers permission to go inside the home, the residence, to search the residence.
And you all found him in there?
Yes, they found him in there, ma'am.
Now, when you all talked to him, and I believe you just previously testified to it, but I'm going to make sure I'm understanding your prior testimony correctly. He referred to the incident that happened the day before also?
Yes, ma'am. He just said, only thing he just said, the juveniles, the boys was antagonizing him, and that he told them that he paid rent there and that he needed to get out of their house. I mean, out of the room.
And when you say he, you're talking about the juvenile?
Mr. McBride stated to me while he was in my backseat, my patrol car, that
Yes.
he paid $600 in rent, and that he asked the juveniles and the male adult to leave out of his room, and he said that they was antagonizing him and that they was affiliated with the gang.
Did he say anything about pointing a gun at them?
No, ma'am.
Did he say anything about even having a gun?
No, ma'am. He said that the juvenile and the male adult was in possession of a firearm, and that they put it out on him.
But the juvenile and the mother indicated that Mr. McBride had the gun?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know if there's any type of video or anything in the house?
They didn't have no video, ma'am.
And all of this happened inside of the house?
Yes, ma'am. It would happen inside the house. Then at some point he stood on the porch and pointed a firearm towards the two victims.
Was any of that recorded on video? Do you know?
No, ma'am. They don't have no video footage of that.
No ring cam or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the conversations you had with the aunt, was any of that recorded?
It would be recorded on Sergeant Harper body cam.
Okay. What about the initial conversation with the juvenile? I think you had that conversation. Was that captured in any way?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that on your body cam?
Yes, ma'am. It was on body cam.
And Mr. McBride, when he was in the backseat of the patrol car, was that captured or recorded in any way?
It should be on my body cam. Yes, ma'am.
And the conversation with the mother, the juvenile's mother, was that recorded in any type of way?
Yes, it will be recorded on Sergeant Harper body cam.
And I believe you indicated she made a written statement, or did I misunderstand?
Yes, the mother made a written statement. I provided her with a written statement. So I was trying to give her a written statement. She wrote down what she encountered inside the residence, and I typed it in my narrative.
Okay. So you gave her the form, and then she filled in on the form what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the person that we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes or so, do you see him present in court today?
His picture, if that's him in the standing at the desk, his picture looks so small.
You on a laptop?
Yes, ma'am. Inside the police car. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does that resemble the person you came into contact with?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's all I have reserved right for reading. Oh, I do have one more question. I'm not sure if I asked it. When I asked you, but I don't recall the answer. When he was sitting in the back of your patrol car, basically giving his version of what happened, was that recorded?
I believe it was on my body cam. Yes, ma'am.
So you would have had your body cam rolling even though he's in the back of your patrol car?
Yes, ma'am. Because he was very irate. He was very agitated, and he was, how would I put it, became very vocal, using profanities and doing gestures in the back, like moving around, hitting himself, whatever case may be, in my back seat. So that's why I left my body cam rolling, due to the fact that I didn't want to, he was causing physical harm to himself.
In an abundance of caution?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's all I have with the officer. Reserve right for redirect.
All right, Mr. Rogers, cross-examination.
Thank you. Officer Lee, are you the lead on this case?
Yes, sir.
And if I'm following, well, let me ask, are you the one of the first people on scene, as far as you recall?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when you get there to the incident location, who was actually at that location at that time?
At the time, it was the juvenile, the young 17-year-old.
Okay. Just 17-year-old, like not the mother, nobody, the brother, nobody else was there.
They had fled the scene upon arrival.
Say they have fled the scene. Who do you mean?
The mother fled the scene. The 19-year-old adult had fled the scene. At one point, the juvenile fled the scene, but he made his way back to the house. And that's how we was able to encounter him, because it was a 911 call. And I guess I'm assuming that dispatch told him to go back to the house and wait for police to arrive. And so that's how we encountered the juvenile.
And
He was standing outside.
outside of the residence?
Yes, sir.
It's, I think I'm a little bit, but I just want to make sure or give you a chance to kind of explain.
Okay.
If I'm understanding the general timeline or sequence of events, the allegation is that Mr. McBride allegedly points a pistol. The two sons leave the location. Is that part correct so far?
Yes, sir. They fled the scene.
And I'm just really just asking about the order of events right now, just making sure I'm following it.
That's fine.
And then after that, who leaves next, as you understand it?
Who left the scene next?
Right.
From what I told, the two young males fled the scene.
Mhm.
Then upon arrival, I asked the younger the juvenile where his mother went. He stated that she had fled the scene as well, because she was on probation.
Well, and let me ask, because I guess I'm not following why that would matter unless you have a warrant or something. Like, why does that matter in this case?
You mean, why did she flee the scene?
Yeah.
Sir, that was a question that you would have to ask Mrs. Joyner, to be honest with you, sir, with all due respect.
Understood. And so is it your understanding that the three of them leave and Mr. McBride is left at the location by himself?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then at some point, Mr. McBride is supposed to leave and the other people, at least the 17-year-old, returns to the location. Is that your understanding?
Yes, the 17-year-old stated that he observed Mr. McBride walking towards the BP gas station where the Kroger's at.
And I know so far it sounds like the only witnesses that we mentioned seem to all be related, if I'm understanding. We got the two sons and then the mother and the aunt. Is that
Correct.
Okay. To your knowledge, is there anybody that's not related to them that witnessed any part of the events?
No, sir.
And do you talk to the 17-year-old and the 19-year-old?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At two different times.
Okay. Okay, so when you say at two different times, is that you talk to the 17-year-old and the 19-year-old is not even on the scene at that point? Is that correct?
That's correct. The mother and the son returned. The mother and the adult, the 19-year-old, returned at a later time. When the auntie arrived, she asked her to return back to the scene. The mother was very hesitant about returning back to the scene due to her past criminal history. So at some point, maybe like 15 minutes, 16 minutes later, the mother and the 19-year-old returned back to the residence. And that's when I encountered the juvenile. I put him to the side. I got his statement. I gave him a witness statement for him. He filled it out. And he just gave me his side of the what occurred inside the residence.
And out of the witnesses that you've spoken to, do any of them describe what Mr. McBride is supposed to be wearing that night?
Mr. McBride was wearing a black suit. He had on a black shirt and a black pants.
Okay. Where, let me, okay, so when you say at two different times, is that Mr. McBride is supposed to be wearing that night?
I don't believe so. If they did, they spoke to Sergeant Harper.
And does anyone give you a description of a weapon?
Yes, they did.
Who who describes the weapon?
All three, the mother and the two juveniles. Mr.
And
D,
let me- I'm sorry, go ahead.
you go ahead. I'm listening.
I was just gonna ask, when the 19-year-old and the mother, when they're giving their accounts, do you talk to them or are they talking to somebody else?
What do you mean, sir?
If I understand, you talked to the 17-year-old, and I think you mentioned the mother talked to, I believe you said maybe a sergeant or something like that.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Yes, sir.
It's cool. And the 19-year-old, no problem. And the 19-year-old, who does the 19-year-old talk to?
He spoke to me.
Okay. And so those conversations are being held separately too, those with two different people, if I'm understanding, like y'all aren't standing right beside each other.
Yeah, we always separate the individuals so they won't, I guess, corroborate stories.
Right, I got you. And what is the description that is given? I guess we can start with the 17-year-old and then 19-year-old and then the mom. What description do they give of the weapon?
I think the 17-year-old gave a silver and color firearm. Then the 19-year-old gave a description of a silver firearm handgun, I guess 45 caliber. And the mom gave a description of a firearm, maybe almost like a shotgun. She said she called it a large firearm, but like that, with a magazine. That's what the mother stated. She didn't give a description of the color.
Okay. And as you understand, when the sons, they're talking about a handgun, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you ever recover any weapon?
No,
How
no, sir. We didn't have a search warrant to go inside the residence to search the residence. We asked them, did he can they go in the house and look to see if it was one inside? They stated no. Mr. McBride had it on him when he left the house.
So just so I'm clear, you're saying that they refused when we say they, let's be a little more specific just so I know who we're talking about. Are you saying the mom would not give consent for y'all to search the house for the weapon?
Yes. And the juvenile stated that both of the juveniles stated that Mr. McBride took the firearm with him. They didn't say they saw it. They didn't say he just probably took it with him.
Okay, and that was going to be one of my next questions, because if I understand, both of them left before Mr. McBride, correct?
Yes, sir.
So did they explain how they would know what Mr. McBride did if they were already gone?
I totally agree with you. I don't know how they would know Mr. McBride took the gun with him. I just go by base their statement, what they told me.
I understand. Let me ask, so then when he returns to the location, if I understand, the mother gives consent for y'all to go in to make contact with the person once y'all detected motion inside, correct? She gives y'all consent then?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, nobody locates a firearm on Mr. McBride, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
After Mr. McBride's apprehended, does anybody request again consent to go and search for a firearm?
I wasn't there. I had put Mr. McBride inside my patrol car and I sat in the car with him.
Your knowledge, and I get, you might not have been right there at that part, but to your knowledge, does law enforcement, after he's arrested, at any point do they go in there to search for the weapon?
To my knowledge, I don't think so. No, sir.
And Judge, we lost, on mine, I lost the visual. I don't know if it's still available, Judge, just making sure. Okay.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Um, and I guess just so I'm clear about what's alleged to have happened, the position is that the two boys are, it starts from the two boys are coming to, is it what, a bedroom or something like that? What's the room that they're supposed to have come to?
Mr. McBride room that he shared that they he shares with their mother, Mrs. Joyner.
And so the two of them come to that room, and and the account that you received is that during that time, Mr. McBride points a pistol and tells them to get away from the room, essentially.
Yes, he stated to them the first time to leave the room. I guess they left and returned back to the room. They wanted to speak with their mother. So whatever question they had to ask their mother, I guess Mr. McBride became agitated because he kept telling them to leave. However, they didn't want to leave. So at which time, according to the statement that was given to me, that he picked up the firearm, loaded it, pointed directly toward them, and told them to leave. And the juveniles, they fled the scene, fearing their life. The mother told, excuse me, the mother told them to run for their lives as well. At which time, like I stated to Miss Thomas earlier, that the mother observed him stand on the porch, pointing the gun directly towards the juveniles and the male adult as they was running down the fleeing down the street.
And just so I'm clear, so it sounds like, I guess part of what I'm asking is, sounds like the mom is claiming that she's seen this firearm at least on two different occasions that night. Is that correct? Like at the bedroom and then on the porch, is that?
Yes.
And but says she describes it as a large gun, like a shotgun. Is that?
Yes. Large shotgun. She just said a large gun, firearm. Then she stated the color was brown and silver. And that she observed him walking towards the Kroger's on Jonesboro Road.
And this, I think, is my last question, but the only explanation they gave for not wanting you to search the residence is because they're saying that, well, let me back up, I guess. When does the mother leave the residence?
If I had to assume, and I don't want to be assuming, but if I had to assume, I guess right after the incident occurred, like I was explaining to Miss Thomas, she left the residence due to the fact that she's of her history. She's
Right.
on probation. So I guess she can't be. I'm gonna say she doesn't want to go back to jail, put it like that. That's why she fled the scene. I mean, that's the only way I could put it, to be honest with you.
Understood. No, I
That
was
makes
just
her on probation.
yeah, I was just trying to get a feel for it. And if you don't know, you don't know. Like I'm not asking you to know something you don't know. What I was trying to get clear on is, does the mother say when she leaves that Mr. McBride is still there?
According to what she wrote, she stated that she's observed Mr. McBride walking towards the Kroger's on Jonesboro Road.
And did at any point did law enforcement ever try to find a firearm like out, I guess, in that general path of travel or anything?
Yes, sir. Sergeant Hawkins and I think Officer Cotton, they went to Kroger's to attempt to look for him, and they went to the BP gas station that's on Jonesboro Road because according to what the juvenile stated, that he used to go there in the back to play the slot machines. So they went there as well to look for Mr. McBride. However, Mr. McBride wasn't there at the time when they went to go to look for him.
And I don't know, my question might not have been clear. Sometimes I know the technical issues happen. What I was getting at is, does law enforcement ever look for a firearm like along the path? Either because it sounds like he's on foot, if I'm understanding correct.
Yes, sir. I think they attempted to look for the gun, like in certain areas. Cause I know that I had my flashlight, and I looked in certain areas that the path that he could have walked, because they said he couldn't got that far due to the fact that, no disrespect, he have a prosthetic leg, so he couldn't got that far. So we took a little path that maybe he would have dumped it off somewhere. But however, at that time, I didn't locate anything at the time.
No further questions.
All right, any follow-up, ADA Tommy?
No, Your Honor.
All right, does the state rest?
That's all I have at this time, Your Honor.
All right, any evidence or witnesses for the defendant, Attorney Rogers?
No, Judge, just argument.
Okay, Ms. Thomas, do you waive your right to start the argument?
I'll hold to the end, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you. Judge, I'm gonna ask for a dismissal on I guess both of the charges. As I understand, it seems like the ag assault is there's 2 counts. From what I've heard, I guess the only allegation could be that it was one for each person, each the 17 and 19. The reason I'm gonna ask for that dismissal is because at this point, we only have the witness accounts, which sounds like there, I guess, are a couple that kind of, I guess, are consistent with one another. The 2 boys. I guess part of my issue with that is that we don't know what occurs in the time that they're not at the location and the time that it takes for them to respond or return to the location. They've had time to discuss whatever the allegations are going to be. The fact of no weapon being found anywhere, I would say that certainly weighs against the finding of probable cause. I would also say that the refusal to allow law enforcement to search for a weapon seems, at least, I would say it certainly raises questions. And the reason I say that is because if your concern is, for your safety, and this person's alleged to have pointed a firearm at you, I would think you would want law enforcement to recover that weapon so that this person wouldn't have access to it. But they apparently refuse to let law enforcement search for the pistol, even though there's no way to explain why they would know whether or not Mr. McBride had the pistol with him or not, because they don't, they're not saying that they were there when he left. They see him later, allegedly walking. But again, they don't have any basis to say whether or not the supposed firearm is there with him, whatever. It's not recovered anywhere else. I would also point out that, when we're talking about the mother giving an account that seems to kind of diverge from the boy's account. And what I mean is that, she's talking about a large gun, a long gun. It sounds like something similar to a shotgun, while the boys are talking about a handgun. That's a difference. Shotgun, handgun, they both fire shots, but they're not very easily confused for one another. And so I'll say the lack of actually finding a firearm, the variation in the discussion, on the fact that it sounds like even when Mr. McBride was allegedly, I guess, kind of ranting or expressing himself in the back, he didn't go as far as say he had a weapon or that he had threatened anybody or anything of the sort. So there's no corroboration from him, no physical evidence to corroborate this. So for all those reasons, Judge, I'd ask for a dismissal for lack of probable cause. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Thomas.
Yeah, I'm for the most part going to stand on the officer's testimony, but I would like for the court to consider a couple of things. First thing is Mr. McBride ran into the woods. Officer indicated that when they arrived at the scene, he was long gone and he came back a little bit later. So if there is a issue of where the gun went, it is good possibility it went with him into the woods. Regarding the description of the gun, what we have consistently here from both victims and their mother, who was also present, is that Mr. McBride had a gun and pointed that gun at the children. As far as whether one said it was a handgun, a long gun, or anything, I'll be honest, I'm not good with guns, and all guns look big to me. And I believe the officer's testimony was not that the mother said it was a big gun, but big gun could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a long gun. So, Your Honor, the fact that we do have corroborating testimony from the witness that was there, the children's mother, a witness that that law enforcement subsequently had contact with and was able to confirm that that is what she saw, which is consistent with the testimony that was provided by the victims earlier when the officers first arrived. The corroborating more or less testimony from the aunt who arrived at the scene, who indicated that all this possibly stemmed from an incident that happened the day before. Actually, that was established that later on, Mr. McBride himself advised the officer of when, I'm going to use her term, when he was rambling in the back of her car. So I believe the court has more than sufficient evidence at this point in time to transfer this case on probable cause to the Superior Court.
Right. The court, after hearing evidence and testimony, finds sufficient probable cause to bind both of the charges over to Superior Court. This matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, if you can hear me, you're excused.